All right. So let's put our money where our mouth is here a little bit. Here's the draft order as of today. We're just gonna do this quickly. This isn't a mock. Again, this isn't a big board. This is what we would definitely do.
Yeah.
And in fact, in a few weeks, we're gonna have a more detailed version of this for more picks and more players. So be on the lookout for that. But here's the draft order as of today. There's the Giants, the Raiders, the Titans, the Browns, the Saints are the top five. Commanders, Jets, Cardinals, Rams, Bengals round out the top 10. Vikings, Dolphins, Ravens, Chiefs, Cowboys, Panthers, Lions, Jets, Bucks, Steelers round out the top 20. And those are the main that's kind of the Steelers at 20 are kind of the last team that I would say would be looking for a quarterback. Here are the teams that have multiple picks in this year's draft. There's the Browns. They have the fourth overall pick and the 27th overall pick right now. There's the Jets. They have the seventh pick and the 18th pick via the Colts. Boy, talk about the Colts and trade those picks. That's interesting. The Rams are at nine via the Falcons. Shout out the Falcons, who I think we're just putting up a tough game against the Bucks on Thursday Night Football. And the Rams also have pick 31 as of right now. And then the Cowboys have picks 15 and 28. They're not going to be in that quarterback market, but those are the other teams. Those are the teams that have two first round picks. Should also note the Jets also have two first round picks next year. So the Jets have the ammo. Let's say with the Giants at one, let's say if the draft order held here and the Browns were looking at a quarterback from four and the Jets are looking at the quarterback at seven, and there's the Raiders at two. If they're both like, we want to jump to one, jump ahead of the Raiders, the Browns have that extra pick and they're this year, and they have the fourth pick. That's nice, but the Jets have two picks this year, two picks next year in the first round. That's kind of the math that we're looking at. Um, I just want a yes or no. Okay, yes or no.
Okay.
As of today, should this team be considering quarterback? Right, so it's not a
Okay.
must, but should they be thinking about a first round quarterback? Giants,
No.
Raiders.
No.
No, interesting. Roster too far away, or would you keep Gino for another? I see. Now I have to ask. Now I do have to ask this. Would you give Gino another? Gino, I did write down the cap for Gino. 18.5 mil dead cap if they move on from him next year, unless they get to trade him, in which case no dead cap for him. But they'd save 8 million on the cap if they released him, even
Okay.
taking that dead cap hit. So are you giving Gino another run, or is that whole situation just too far away? You just went and take a quarterback right now.
I like both of those reasons. Probably more the roster, honestly.
Okay. You
Yep.
know I love Geno, so
I
if
know you
someone
love
came and
Gino.
told me they would just keep Geno, I'd be happy with that. Titans.
No.
Did they think about a quarterback? Okay. Browns.
No.
Okay. Saints.
Yes.
Okay. Commanders, no. Jets.
Jets, yes.
Do you have any spicy Jaden Daniels in the injuries take or anything? I guess I shouldn't have blown past that, but I assume no for the Commanders.
No, no on the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, I think I had him as QB3 out of that draft, which starts to push, right?
Yep.
And the arm strength isn't great, but he had a good enough first year.
Yeah.
You gotta trot that back out for year three.
Just chalk this year up to the injuries.
Yes.
Cardinals. Should they consider a quarterback?
Yes, for me.
Rams.
No, but I'm assuming Stafford's sticking
If
around.
Stafford says he's staying, you're not thinking about the future yet at
I'm
this
not,
point
no.
with how close they are right now. Bengals no, Vikings,
I will say Vikings, no.
Dolphins.
Dolphins, no.
The I know the reason for Ben is Tua has a $99 million cap hit if they release him, $45 million dead cap even if they trade him. Financially, they're not getting out of Tua this year. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, there's that. Then there's Ravens, Chiefs, Cowboys, Panthers. Should they consider a first round quarterback this year?
If you'd have asked me a month ago, I would have said yes. And now it's gotten real cloudy real quick. I think they should still be considering it.
Um, Last team Steelers.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we just hit one, two, three, four, five, six, seven teams. Essentially, I
Okay.
just did six, seven again, but whatever. Six or seven teams there that should be considering a first round pick quarterback. And based on what we did already, we talked about Mendoza being a first round guy, Dante being a first round guy, Simpson being a first round guy, but kind of right on the line. And that's about it. So you got six teams considering it. Um, would you, as the Browns, trade 4 and 27 to get to one and take Mendoza?
I would not, and I can get into that if you want, but I would not.
No, we don't need to do that tonight. What about the Jets? Should the Jets
Yes.
take seven? Maybe it's not even they have to do 18. Maybe it's 7, 8. Maybe it is. Maybe it's 7, 18, and one of the first next year. But let's say you get
Okay.
one and then 33 back. So you move back 13 spots from the middle of the first to the early second. You get one. You trade one of those picks. Would you trade from 7 to 1 if you're the Jets?
I would, yes.
Okay.
Jets, Mendoza, that feels like the magic combination to me.
And that group comes from the golf world, and if that's his comp, that's interesting. So I think
Yeah.
those are the teams we're eyeing right now. And the Raiders at 2. But if we're gonna say no, then you've got, let's say if the Jets move up to 1 in this scenario, they get Mendoza. Let's say the Raiders sit the Titans, and let's say if you're the Browns, you trade a second or a third just to swap with the Titans to stop anybody, block anybody, and you take Dante Moore if he stays. Sorry, Dante Moore, you just got drafted by the Browns. Um, and then when you're there at the Saints okay, so let's say in the scenario the Saints at 5, do you take Ty Simpson at 5?
I don't. If I'm sitting at five, I'm the Saints. I don't even think about taking Simpson at five myself.
Cardinals at 8.
If
And remember,
if
we
if
just we on your show last week put Joe
yes.
Brady
Yep.
and the Vikings assistant that I always love, whose name I always forget, even though Chris O'Hara. Those are the guys in charge of my offense, and I'm the Cardinals at 8. Do you take
Yes.
Ty Simpson there?
No, I don't. My Simpson bias is going to pull me way back on him. That's QB3, the film I've seen on
Okay,
Simpson. If Moore were sitting there for the Cardinals, but for some reason, I would take Moore for the Cardinals, even though I'm not high on Moore either. But,
right.
the combinations we're talking about, yes.
Did I even then officially ask you if you would take Moore to the Browns at 4? If you're sitting there at 4, would you take Dante Moore?
I don't think so. Part
Okay.
of the Browns thing is just the chaos. Man, we've already pulled in two quarterbacks last year. We haven't given them all
Oh
full
yeah, you
chance yet.
even you even
So
said no to the Browns. You said they should just. Is that just to roll with Shadur and see what happens for another year?
at least give it a chance. You're
Yeah.
going to be rebaking the entire half the
Yeah.
roster next year. So yeah,
Okay. So then if we're reshuffling this, because I just assumed Cardinals more at 8, you would do, right? You
I
would do
would
that one
try it.
sitting there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Joe
think that's a
Brady.
good
Yeah,
call. I think
yeah.
that's great. And then Steelers at 20, you take Ty Simpson.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Okay.
But I some teams will. So
So then if I'm going down further on my list here, you've got the Browns at 27. Let's say you skip Dante Moore at 4, but you're up there at 27 with the Browns. Do you take Simpson then?
if it's me, I still don't. But you're starting to plow into. I don't love Simpson.
So
Yes.
then, if we're still saying no, this is the fun part. This is what you get for sticking around to hour 47 of the podcast. Rams at 31.
And I assume Stafford's retired. Yeah.
Well, let's say he's not. Let's
Um,
say he sticks around. But do you say, man, we just took Downs. We just took Downs at 9 to be a first round defensive back to tie
yeah.
everything all back together. Uh,
I tell
or
you,
or we got Carnell Tate, or we got Spencer Fano, or some name defensive end that's still available. We took another dude top 10 that's atop of his position group. Then at 31, are
yeah,
you like, gosh, the third quarterback is still here, and at some point Stafford's going to retire? If you're
right.
McVay, do you want Ty Simpson at 31?
Yeah, I wouldn't. And it's not that I don't think McVay couldn't help Simpson or make it kind of work. Two things there. I really do feel like Simpson's best bet would be with a Shanahan style West Coast type of offense. I think that's by far his best style. The Rams could make it work. I do feel like though, because we watched McVay get rid of Goff and pick up Stafford. I think McVay is going to love getting a big arm guy, or if you can't
Hmm.
have that,
Yeah.
he's going to want a super fast guy that can run around and make plays as well as have a decent arm. I do not think he wants to go back down the route that Shanahan's still doing, actually, where
Hmm.
you have
Yep.
these kind of minimalist quarterbacks playing
Yep.
these XO type games. I don't think McVay wants to do that.
Okay. All right. So we just went through that whole that exercise there. We traded up from the Jets. See, I said this wasn't a mock, but I made you do a mock anyways. Jets went up to 1, took Mendoza.
Yeah,
We waited on Dante Moore till 8. We just wanted to keep
yeah.
it simple, and then we don't get a third quarterback. All right. Well, that was fun. Ben,
And and that's if
anything
it were
else?
me. I don't
Right.
think it's actually going to work out that way. That's
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Again, that's like a fun little preview. We're gonna have stuff like that in a couple weeks. And that's guys, this episode, this style, this is what it's gonna be moving forward. I think Ben, you're gonna be
Yeah.
on twice this month. I think just once in January probably as we gear up really just for, the NFL playoff focus, but maybe you'll come on and do a little playoff stuff. But then February we'll start hitting the draft really hard. So Ben will be on twice a month, probably February, March, April, to make sure we're ready for the draft. Ben, anything else on quarterbacks or Box Score Network or Pro Football Enterprises before we get out of here?
This quarterback stuff, it runs in cycles. You're going to have years where, quite honestly, maybe nobody should be drafted in the first round.
Hmm.
I don't feel that way about this year's draft. I've got one guy I've really got my heart kind of set on, Mendoza. Everybody else, man, some of them will get drafted first round. Some of them should not be getting drafted first round. That's where I'm at on this class right now. If the guys that looked good in 25, if they hung around another year for 26, they might look just as bad as the guys who looked good
Yep.
in 24 and then looked bad in 25. So Mendoza, he got better. He endured. So
Yeah. All right. Well, that will do it. Thank you all so much for being here. If you're on YouTube, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to audio A1 Day 1, we appreciate you. As always, make sure you're checking out the content on Box Score Network. There will be draft content there from me and Ben and various other hosts and friends across the network and the interwebs. So thank you all so much. We will talk to you again soon. Have fun and be safe out there.